Are you looking for an intense side-by-side? This one has 100 horses of pure adrenaline. I'm Alan Treadwell, and today we'll be doing a bumper-to-bumper walk-around of the Tracker SVX1000. Stay with me in this video, and I promise you a thorough review of the SVX1000. We're going to talk about the price, the performance, the specs, and the features. I'm going to drive it, and I'm going to do my best to take you along with me, and I'm going to help you decide if the Tracker SVX1000 is the vehicle for you. Let's get started. Now first, let's talk about price. Tracker advertises what they call the no haggle, no hassle price structure. That means nationwide, everybody pays the same thing. The Tracker SVX1000 is $14,499, and that's not MSRP. That's not a list price. That's what you pay, plus freight. Now let's take a look at some of the specs of the SVX1000. It's 126 inches long, 64 inches at its widest, and 78.5 inches tall at its highest point. The wheelbase measurement is the distance from the front axle to the rear axle, and it's 85.2 inches on the SVX1000. The empty weight of this unit comes in at 1,755 pounds, and that's without gasoline or any accessories added. The SVX1000 is available in red, but you can also get it in true timber strata camouflage when you order the Woodsman edition. I'll talk more about that and other optional packages later in the video. And here's something else I learned. Tracker Off-Road is designed, engineered, and assembled with skilled American labor by Textron in their U.S. plants like Thief River Falls, Minnesota, and Augusta, Georgia. Textron is an American company, and like virtually every other high-quality manufacturer of modern equipment, they get their parts from both American and global sources. When it comes to the overall construction of this vehicle, I found out that the SVX1000's frame is literally overbuilt. It's constructed from high-grade, robotically welded HSLA steel. HSLA means high-strength, low-alloy steel, and you won't find that on many other brands. So with a vehicle like this, you probably want to do some serious riding on and off the trail, right? Well, that makes a smooth ride essential. Now let's take a closer look at what makes that smooth ride happen, and that's the suspension. The SVX1000 features a double A-arm suspension with 13 inches of suspension travel, front and back. Now suspension travel is where these parts move up and down to absorb the jolts from hitting holes and bumps. It's what gives you a smooth ride, increases traction, and helps maintain overall vehicle control. The SVX1000 also has front and rear sway bars, and a lot of other brands don't have this as a standard feature. These bars give you a more stable feel and maintains that feel when the vehicle is fully loaded. Another thing that Tracker offers that other brands don't is in the front upper arm suspension. This arm is not welded tubular steel, but instead it's solid cast steel, meaning it's really, really tough. The SVX1000 is a great crossover machine. You can work it all day and then go have as much fun as you want that afternoon. Let's talk about ground clearance. When you compare the SVX1000 to other brands, you'll find it's class leading with a full 13 inches of clearance. With that, you'll get over almost anything. And underneath, there's a full-length polymer skid plate. This deflects debris flying off the wheels that might otherwise cause damage. And it's slick, which also helps you slide off an obstacle should you become high-centered. The tires on the front are 27 inches tall by 9 inches wide and are mounted on a 14-inch wheel. The back tires are 27 inches tall and 11 inches wide. They're wider in the back because it adds traction and balances the vehicle's weight better. Now here's a really cool feature for a side-by-side. The SVX1000 is AWD. What does that mean? It means all-wheel drive. Now let's take a look at how that works. With the flip of a switch, the AWD engages, which provides you with traction to all four wheels. You get differentiating front-wheel drive and locked positive traction rear-wheel drive. The SVX1000 will go almost anywhere you point it. Another cool thing I learned, even when the SVX1000 is in all-wheel drive, it's still easy on the turf, even in tight turns. You may not think much about brakes, but consider this. Unlike most cars and trucks, the brakes on a side-by-side have to function in crazy elements like deep water, dust, mud, and snow. The Tracker SVX1000 has 4-wheel hydraulic disc brakes with dual piston calipers with 9-inch rotors. What does that mean for stopping power? The dual piston caliper allows you to use a larger brake pad, which is good because a larger pad will absorb more heat, have better wear, and longer life. The dual piston caliper means more force, which means greater stopping power. But dual pistons also have 2 pressure points instead of just 1, meaning a more even wear on the rotors. Having brakes on all 4 wheels means you'll stop quickly and efficiently when needed. Now let's talk about the engine of this SVX1000. I'll tell you what, the first time I mashed on that throttle, I felt all 100 horsepower that it had set me back in my seat, and I could tell it meant business. The engine is a liquid-cooled, 4-stroke, twin-cylinder, single overhead cam gasoline engine with 957 cc displacement. This engine can generate plenty of torque for climbing steep, rough terrain. In fact, the SVX1000 is class-leading in torque with 67 foot-pounds, unlike the Polaris General at only 65. Another great feature on this tracker is the dry sump oil system, and no other brand has this. There's a reservoir for the oil, and it delivers the exact amount of oil needed at the exact pressure and the exact point where it's needed. Why is this a benefit? First, the oil stays cleaner longer, as it's not laying in an oil pan collecting carbon and dirt dripping through the engine. The oil stays cooler longer, so the engine runs cooler. This means longer engine life, greater efficiency, and more horsepower. Finally, this system means exceptional cold weather starting, like no other engine in its class. Think about what that means for cold weather hunting camp, or many commercial applications, or on the farm. It works when you just need it to work. The fuel system for this engine is EFI, and that stands for Electronic Fuel Injection. And it has what's called a closed-loop EFI, meaning it has an exhaust sensor that constantly regulates temperature and fuel mixture. What does that mean to you? It will provide consistent throttle response in all operating conditions and improves fuel economy, improves cold starting, and regulates fuel flow better in higher elevations. The SVX1000 also features something called ETC, which stands for Electronic Throttle Control. This is a drive-by-wire system, meaning there is no cable from the throttle to the engine. It's controlled electronically. A huge benefit is that the maximum speed can be controlled in increments of 1 mile per hour. It's easy to set by accessing the diagnostic mode in the display on your dash. You can even set a code for different users to allow for different maximum speeds. You see this silver thing right here? That's the radiator, and on the SVX1000, it's liquid cooled. So just like most cars and trucks on the market today, what that means is this radiator is filled with fluid that keeps it running smooth even in extreme temperatures or heavy working conditions. And when you're miles in the backcountry, that's peace of mind, at least to me. The engine is connected to what's called the drivetrain. That's how its power is transferred to all 4 wheels and the all-wheel drive system. The transmission on Tracker's SVX1000 is what's called CVT, which means continuously variable transmission, just like you'd find in an automobile, like the Toyota Prius. CVT is a shiftless transmission, and basically it means it automatically takes care of everything for you. It's very smooth and provides power across the whole range of speed without a surge or pause in shifting, and it's continuously adjusting to the throttle input you give it, whether you're speeding up or slowing down. The choices for the transmission are H, L, N, R, and P, and that means high range, low range, neutral, reverse, and park. When the SVX1000 is set to park, it's also like a parking brake, so the unit won't roll away on unlevel ground. You know, I was talking to one of the Tracker off-road dealers earlier, and he told me that one of the questions they get asked all the time is, how fast will these machines go? Well, the answer always is, it depends. There's a lot of variables when it comes to speed. But with this unit right here, I'll tell you this, it's fast. First, speed can vary a lot by the conditions you're in. What's your total load weight? Do you have 2 big guys and full load of hunting gear? Or are you running on empty, on level ground? There's a lot of factors that affect your top speed. Now, I just didn't have enough room to stay at top speed for very long, and I quickly reached 69 miles per hour and had to slow down. It felt good and under control the entire time, and the world was definitely flying by. I just ran out of fuel. Tracker says the SVX1000 should reach speeds of 70 to 75 miles an hour.
You know, with all that power, you might be asking yourself, how much will this machine haul, or how much can it pull or tow? Well, here's how the SVX1000 checks out.
On the SVX1000, the overall payload capacity is 1,200 pounds, and it leads its class with 24 cubic feet of overall storage space. The cargo box will carry 600 pounds, and check out the extended cab with storage space for things like tools or hunting gear. It also has fold-down side doors to make it easier to load. Put a load of wood and cargo instead of chainsaw and fuel in the extended cab.
Now check out this feature here. On the front of the cargo box, there's a lever on either side, and with a quick pull, it allows the bed to tilt upwards. And underneath, there's a gas piston. Tracker calls that lift assist. And what that does is when you got a heavy load back here, it allows that weight to come up easily for an easy offload. Now here's a feature I like for a couple of different reasons. Now I've had ATVs and side-by-sides in the past with dinky little hitches back here, like 1.25 or 1.5 inches, and you get frustrated trying to find all the parts that you need. Well, Tracker solved that for you by putting a 2-inch hitch receiver back here. All you have to do is take it off of your truck. You probably got one lying around, slide it in, and you're ready to start pulling. And the second thing I like about it, on other models I've seen, these are actually just bolted onto the frame. With Tracker, they're part of the frame.
The towing capacity of this guy is a cool 2,000 pounds. That opens a whole range of accessories and even boats that you can easily tow with the SVX1000. In the cab, you'll find a plush contoured bench seat. This has the feel of a bucket seat when you sit in it and helps tame some of those jolts from off-road riding. The Tracker SVX1000 seats a driver and a passenger. For safety, it features 3-point seat belts and a passenger side grab handle. On either side are the full doors, and just like a truck, you open the door, slide in the seat, buckle your seat belt, and you're ready to go. It's so much better than nets found on many other brands. In fact, at this price point, I found out that the SVX1000 is the only vehicle to come standard with full-size doors. On the dash, the Tracker SVX1000 offers an impressive display that's largest in its class. The display is LCD and its brightness is adjustable. The digital gauge gives you a speedometer, odometer, and trip meter. The tachometer lets you keep an eye on the engine RPMs, while the gear indicator shows if you're in park, neutral, reverse, or high or low range. There's a fuel gauge that features a low fuel warning when needed. Rounding out the digital gauge, you'll find a clock, headlight indicator, and the display also has diagnostic capabilities for the operator to be able to pull up any vehicle fault codes that may occur. Many other brands require expensive diagnostic tools to read the same information. The lighting system on the Tracker SVX1000 includes an LED tail light that is both a running light and a brake light. And up front, there are awesome LED fixtures that have a high and low beam setting. These are very bright, which is especially helpful in really dark conditions found off-road.
Now let's talk about the steering. First of all, the SVX1000 has electronic power steering, and another really cool feature that it has is a tilt steering wheel, just like you'd find on your car or truck. And for a bigger framed rider or a smaller framed rider, you can really fine tune it to make it comfortable for you, which is really important in a performance handling vehicle like this.
There's something called power steering boost. It means it helps when you're driving, and the real magic happens at slow speeds, as it adds maximum assistance in steering. Then, it automatically adjusts as you go faster, reducing the boost. This keeps you in touch with the feel of the road and makes it fun to drive.
Now I want to take you for a ride in the SVX1000 as we pilot it around this test course. Now keep in mind, this course wasn't built for speed, but to test some of those features we've been talking about, like handling and suspension.
I want to test it in watery conditions, on a steep grade, and over obstacles like this waffle course. The SVX1000 is impressive in all-wheel drive, and you'd have to work really hard to get this thing stuck. This hill is really steep, but as you can see, the SVX1000 handles it with no problem and power to spare. Then it's over this little double hill. The humps in the middle show the class-leading 13-inch ground clearance with room to spare. This sloggy little pit is perfect for demonstrating slick and muddy conditions. I have to say, I felt confident in this rig no matter the situation. This waffle course really tests the suspension and the ride. The SVX1000 is surprisingly comfortable in the toughest spots. Notice how the huge suspension travel really helps force that tire right back down to the ground after it rolls over the bump, and it does this one tire at a time, independently from the other three. As I said earlier, this is a really big deal for traction and control. Coming over the steep side of the hill, notice the clearance around the nose even as it reaches the bottom and levels out. Next, I was able to get the SVX1000 way off-road. From open pastures to woodlands, with hills and ravines, to sloggy, muddy conditions, I went looking for it. When I said this was a beast, I wasn't kidding. The 100 horses in this engine pushed me back in my seat, and I still had plenty of power for anything I threw at it. I have to tell you, I'm impressed. This machine is a total blast to drive. The overall handling felt crisp and responsive. The power steering made driving really easy, and the ground clearance got me over almost any obstacle. The travel suspension took out the roughest bumps in my path. I have to tell you, when it comes to a pure fun working machine that has the spirit to really play in dirt and mud, the Tracker SVX1000 gets my vote. This is just insane. So let me briefly tell you about another feature that, at least for me, is peace of mind. That's the warranty. The SVX1000 has a full 18 months, and since you're probably researching online, compare that to just 12 months for many other manufacturers. And it's backed by what Tracker calls the Tracker Promise of the best built, best backed off-road vehicles in the business.
Well, there you have it. That's my review of the Tracker SVX1000. Is it right for you?
Well, if you're looking for a beast of a side-by-side that can work all day and still go wild with raw power when it's time to play, you'll find nothing quite like this, especially for the amazing price point. It's an off-road vehicle designed for extreme performance, it's rugged, it looks great, and it's crazy fun to drive. Now, the SVX1000 might not be right for you if, for example, you just don't need that much power. Tracker makes exceptionally good side-by-sides, including the 500s and the 800SX. If you want to haul more than 3 people, then the 800SX Crew is something to consider. To see the review videos of these vehicles, check out the links below, or the Tracker Off-Road YouTube channel. As always, seeing it in person is a great idea, so I recommend seeing one at a Bass Pro Shops, a Cabela's, or an authorized Tracker off-road dealer, and get a personal tour. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and Instagram.
And as always, stay safe on and off-road.